The wind screamed across the frozen plains of Orcath 9 like a living thing. Marcus Chen pulled his coat tighter and checked the readings on his handheld scanner. The temperature had dropped another 10 degrees in the last hour. This was bad, even for this ice ball of a planet. Marcus was the construction foreman for the mining colony. His job was simple: build the structures that kept people alive in this frozen hell. Right now, he needed to check the outer walls before the storm got worse. The company didn't care about safety protocols. They only cared about the valuable minerals buried in the ice. He trudged through the snow, his boots crunching with each step. The colony's lights were barely visible behind him now. Most people thought he was crazy for going out in weather like this. Maybe they were right. But if the outer seals failed during the storm, people would die. Marcus had seen it happen before on another colony. He wouldn't let it happen here. As he rounded the eastern wall, something made him stop. At first, he thought it was ice formations. Then the ice moved. Marcus raised his flashlight. The beam cut through the swirling snow and revealed something impossible. There were creatures huddled against the colony wall. Big creatures. Very big. His heart jumped into his throat. These weren't just any creatures. They were Drakari. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Drakari. They were called the Star Dragons. They were huge reptilian beings with scales like armor and claws that could tear through steel. Their empire had conquered hundreds of worlds before humans even invented the wheel. They were powerful, proud, and dangerous, and there were 5 of them dying right outside his colony. Marcus approached slowly. His training screamed at him to run, to call security, to do anything except get closer. But something stopped him. These weren't the mighty warriors from the stories. These were people in trouble. The largest one lifted her head. Her scales were supposed to be deep red, but they were covered in white frost. Ice crystals clung to her snout. Her eyes struggled to focus on him. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was barely audible over the wind. "My children?" Marcus looked past her. There were 2 more adults and 3 smaller ones. The young ones weren't moving at all. They were dying from the cold. The large female tried to speak again. "Our ship's crashed 3 days ago. Walked. Couldn't find shelter. Please." She paused, and Marcus could see how much the next word cost her. Please, it'd help. Marcus knew what he should do. Protocol was clear. Drakari were dangerous. Bringing them into the colony without authorization was illegal. It violated at least 6 different treaties. He could lose his job. He could go to prison. He looked at the 3 small ones again. They were just children. "Can you walk?" Marcus asked. The female's eyes widened. She hadn't expected him to help. Yes, the others, I'll help them. There's a storage bay on this side. It's not used anymore. Can you make it 50 meters? The female nodded slowly. She nudged her mate, and he stirred weakly. Together they managed to stand. Marcus went to the smallest of the young ones. The Drakari child was still bigger than him, but he managed to get his arms under it and lift. It took 20 minutes to get them all inside. Marcus used his Foreman codes to open the old storage bay. It was cold inside, but nothing like outside. He sealed the door behind them and turned on the emergency heating units. The Drakari family collapsed on the floor. Steam rose from their frosted scales as the room slowly warmed. "Stay here," Marcus said. "Don't make noise. I'll bring supplies." The female looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Why?" she asked. "Why help us?" Marcus shrugged. "You needed help. Your kids needed help. That's enough." He left before she could respond. His mind was already racing. He needed heat lamps, lots of them. Drakari were cold-blooded. They needed serious warmth to function. He also needed food. What did Drakari eat? Protein, he remembered. Lots of protein. Marcus went to the main supply depot. He signed out equipment under fake work orders. Heat lamps for expansion project. Protein rations for extended crew shifts. He loaded everything onto a cargo sled and hauled it back to the storage bay. The Drakari were still there. The young ones were moving a little now, which was good. The adults watched him carefully as he set up the heat lamps. "These will help," he said, positioning the lamps around them. "They're designed for welding, but they'll keep you warm." The female watched him work. "I am Sesrith," she said finally. "This is my mate, Korval. Our children are Vixtra, Koren, and Thelez." "Marcus Chen," he replied, not looking up from his work. "Construction foreman. You are human," Sesrith said. It wasn't a question. "Yeah. Humans are new. To the stars. About 200 years now, Marcus agreed. He finished with the lamps and opened the protein rations. Here, it's not great, but it's food. Sesrith took the ration packs carefully. Her claws were longer than his fingers. Thank you, she said quietly. This is unexpected. What happened? Marcus asked. Why were you out there? Sesrith was quiet for a long moment. Corval made a low sound in his throat. Finally, she spoke. We refused an order. My clan was commanded to participate in a conquest, a peaceful species. Good people who had done nothing wrong. We said no, she paused. In our culture, this is unforgivable. We became traitors, hunted. Marcus sat down on a supply crate. You ran because you wouldn't hurt innocent people? Yes. And your people want to kill you for that? Yes, Drakari are warriors, conquerors. To refuse battle is to reject everything we are supposed to be. Marcus shook his head. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Sesrith made a sound that might have been a laugh. I am beginning to agree with you, human Marcus. The smallest child, Vixtra, crawled closer to the heat lamp. She looked up at Marcus with large golden eyes. You're very small, she said. But you carried me, how? Humans are pretty strong for our size, Marcus said. We're from a heavy world. High gravity. Your world must be very warm, Sesrith said, for you to survive this cold. Earth? It's got all kinds of climates. But yeah, we handle cold pretty well. We're adaptable. Corval spoke for the first time. His voice was rough. You saved us. We owe you a life debt. You don't owe me anything, Marcus said. Just rest and get warm. I'll figure out the rest later. As he left the storage bay, Marcus realized what he'd done. He'd hidden a family of one of the galaxy's most dangerous species inside his colony. If anyone found out, there would be hell to pay. But when he thought about Sesrith's eyes, about the children huddled in the cold, he knew he'd do it again. He just hoped he could keep them hidden long enough to figure out what to do next. Behind him, in the warming storage bay, Sesrith watched the door close. Her children were eating the rations. The heat lamps filled the room with blessed warmth. Her mate was already looking stronger. She had begged a human for help, a species barely old enough to leave their own star system. By all Drakari standards, she had shamed herself beyond redemption. But her children were alive, and this strange, small human had given them that chance without hesitation. Sesrith didn't understand humans yet, but she was beginning to think they were more than anyone had ever given them credit for. The storm outside continued to rage, but inside the storage bay, hope had found a way to survive. 5 days passed. Marcus fell into a routine that was slowly driving him crazy. During the day, he worked his regular shifts, managing construction crews and dealing with the colony administrator's endless demands. At night, he smuggled supplies to the storage bay. The Drakari family was getting stronger. The heat lamps had brought their body temperature back to normal levels. They were eating well, though Marcus had to be creative about explaining why the protein rations kept disappearing. He told the supply clerk they were testing new nutrition plans for the workers. It was a weak excuse, but it held. Sesrith was healing the fastest. She spent hours talking with Marcus during his visits. He was fascinated by her stories of the galaxy. She was fascinated by his stories of Earth. They were more different than either had imagined. On your world, Sesrith said one evening, you have seasons? The temperature changes? Yeah, where I grew up, winters got cold. Not like here, but cold enough. Summers could be brutal hot. And your people adapted to both? We adapted to everything. Deserts, jungles, mountains, islands. Humans spread everywhere on Earth. We're good at making places work for us. Sesrith tilted her head. Drakari prefer warmth. We have always chosen hot worlds to settle. This cold, it is death to us. Yet you walk in it like it is nothing. It's not nothing, Marcus said with a smile. It's just manageable. Humans are stubborn. We don't like being told we can't go somewhere. Vixtra, the smallest child, had started following Marcus around during his visits. She asked endless questions about everything. Why did humans wear clothes? How did they build things? What was Earth like? Did they really only live for 100 years? That seems so short, Vixtra said sadly. Drakari live for centuries. Quality over quantity, Marcus replied. We make the time count. On the 6th day, everything changed. Marcus was working on the eastern wall when Rick Thompson, one of his crew chiefs, approached him. Rick was a good worker, but he had a big mouth and a suspicious nature. Boss, we need to talk, Rick said. Marcus felt his stomach drop. About what? About the storage bay. The one you keep going to. The one that's supposed to be empty. Marcus kept his face neutral. I'm using it for equipment storage. Yeah? Then why is the power consumption through the roof? Why are you running heat lamps 24/7 in an empty bay?
It's complicated. Uncomplicate it, boss, now. Marcus looked around.
They were alone. He made a decision. Follow me. He led Rick to the storage bay. When he opened the door, the heat hit them like a wave. Rick stepped inside and froze. 5 pairs of golden eyes stared at him. 5 sets of claws gleamed in the lamplight. 5 massive Drakari bodies filled the room. Holy mother of... Rick backed toward the door. Wait, Marcus said. Just wait. Let me explain. Explain? You're hiding Drakari. Do you know what this means? We could all be killed. The company, the government, hell, their own people might come for them. They're refugees, Marcus said calmly. They need help. They're dangerous. Sesrith spoke up. Her voice was steady but not threatening. We mean no harm to you or your colony. We are grateful for the shelter Marcus has provided. Rick looked at her, then at Marcus. You're insane. Both of you. If the administrator finds out, then don't tell him, Marcus said. Rick, they were dying. They're just a family trying to survive. They're Drakari. They conquer worlds. These ones didn't, that's why they're here. Rick ran his hand through his hair. He looked at the family again. Corval was holding Thelis, the middle child, close. It was such a normal parent gesture that it made Rick pause. How long have they been here? Rick asked. 6 days. And what's your plan? Hide them forever? I'm working on it. Rick laughed without humor. You're terrible at planning, boss. You know that? He sighed. If anyone else finds out, we're all dead. You understand that, right? I know. The crew's already asking questions. You've been acting weird. Supplies are missing. It's only a matter of time. Marcus nodded. I know. Rick looked at the Drakari again. Vikstra waved shyly at him. Despite himself, Rick waved back. We need to tell the crew, Rick said finally. The whole construction crew. Not the administrators, not the company. Just our people. Are you crazy? We can't keep this secret alone. But if the crew knows, if they're in on it, maybe we can make it work. Our guys are good people. They might understand, Marcus considered it. Rick was right. The secret was getting too big, and his crew was solid. They'd been through hard times together. Okay, Marcus said. Tomorrow night. We'll tell them. The next evening, Marcus gathered his 12-person construction crew in the storage bay. He didn't explain why, just said it was important. When they walked in and saw the Drakari family, the reactions ranged from shock to terror to one person pulling out a knife. Everyone calm down, Marcus said loudly. Just listen, please. It took an hour to explain everything. Sesrith told her story. Marcus explained why he'd helped. Rick backed him up, which helped. The crew asked a lot of questions, some hostile, some curious. Finally, Maria Santos, the welding specialist, spoke up. So let me get this straight. They're refugees because they wouldn't attack peaceful people, and now their own species wants them dead. That about right? Yes, Sesrith confirmed. Maria looked around at the crew. Then we helped them. That's what decent people do. It's dangerous, someone said. So is mining ice on a frozen death world, Maria shot back. We do dangerous stuff every day. At least this is dangerous for a good reason. One by one, the crew agreed. Not all of them were happy about it. Some were scared. But they were a team and they backed their foreman. We keep this quiet, Marcus said. No one outside this crew knows. We keep them supplied, keep them safe, and buy time to figure out a permanent solution. Over the following days, the arrangement became almost normal. Crew members took turns bringing supplies. Some spent their breaks talking with the Drakari. Vikstra became everyone's favorite, asking questions about human tools and trying to help with repairs despite being too big for most tasks. Sesrith continued her conversations with Marcus. She was learning that humans were nothing like what the Drakari had been taught. They weren't weak. They weren't simple. They were complicated, creative, and surprisingly tough. Your species confuses me, Sesrith admitted one night. You are small, young in the stars. Yet you thrive here where we nearly died. You show kindness to strangers, but I have heard stories of your wars. You are contradictions. Humans are good at being contradictory, Marcus agreed. We're capable of great kindness and terrible cruelty. Sometimes both at once. We're still figuring ourselves out. Drakari believe they have everything figured out, Sesrith said quietly. We have not changed our ways in thousands of years. Perhaps that is our weakness. Change is hard, Marcus said, but it's how you survive. Is that what humans do? Change and survive? Pretty much. We're adaptable. It's our best trick. Sesarith looked at him thoughtfully. I am beginning to see why your species has spread so quickly through the stars. You do not accept limitations. Not if we can help it. 2 weeks after the Drakari arrived, everything was running smoothly. The crew had adjusted. The family was healthy. Marcus even started to believe they might actually pull this off. That's when the colony's long-range sensors detected a ship entering the system. A Drakari warship. And it was heading straight for them. The alarm went off at 0600 hours. Marcus was in the storage bay with Sesarith when his communicator buzzed urgently. All personnel report to main hall immediately. The administrator's voice crackled. This is not a drill. Marcus and Sesarith exchanged looks. Stay quiet, he said. Keep everyone inside. Marcus and I'll handle it. The main hall was packed with colonists. Administrator Yates stood at the front, his face pale. Behind him, a holographic display showed a ship in orbit. It was massive, all sharp angles and weapon ports. A Drakari warship. We have received a transmission from the vessel, Yates announced. His voice shook slightly. They are searching for fugitives. A family of traitors who crashed somewhere in this sector. Marcus felt his blood run cold. Around him, his crew members stayed carefully silent. The commander has demanded we allow them to scan our facility, Yates continued. If we refuse, they will consider it an act of hostility. They will land troops to conduct a manual search. Can we refuse? Someone asked. No, Yates said flatly. We have no weapons, no defense. If we resist, they will destroy us. The company has already sent word. Cooperate fully. Give them whatever they want. Marcus raised his hand. What if we have information about the fugitives? Everyone turned to look at him. Yates's eyes narrowed. Do you? Maybe I need to speak with their commander directly. Are you insane? You're a construction foreman, not a diplomat. I know these people. Let me talk to them. Yates looked like he wanted to refuse, but desperation won out. Fine, you have one chance. If you make this worse, I'll have you arrested myself. 10 minutes later, Marcus stood in the communications room. The screen flickered to life, showing a Drakari face. This one was bigger than Sesarith, with darker scales and scars across his snout. His eyes were cold and calculating. I am Warcloth Threnzak, the Drakari said. His voice was deep and commanding. You are the human who claims to have information? Yes, my name is Marcus Chen. I'm the construction foreman here. A foreman? Threnzak seemed amused. Tell me your information, little human. Marcus took a breath. This was the gamble. The family you're looking for? They're here. Behind him, Yates gasped. The other colonists began whispering urgently. Threnzak leaned forward. Where? In my protection. Silence. Then Threnzak laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Your protection? You are a human. A foreman. You think you can protect anyone from the Drakari Empire? I invoke the right of sanctuary by trial, Marcus said clearly. The laughter stopped. Threnzak's eyes widened slightly. You know of our old laws? I've been learning about your culture. The right of sanctuary is ancient, but it's still valid. If someone shelters fugitives and can prove they have the strength to protect them, the Drakari must honor that protection. This law applies to worthy species, Threnzak said, not to humans who have barely left their own world. The law doesn't specify species, just strength, so I'm invoking it. If I can prove my strength, you leave them alone. Threnzak studied him through the screen. You understand what you are asking? You would face a Drakari warrior in combat. You would die. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, it's my choice. Why? Threnzak asked suddenly. Why would you risk your life for traitors to our empire? They are nothing to you. They're a family trying to survive. That's everything to me. Threnzak was quiet for a long moment. Very well, human Marcus Chen, I accept your challenge. We will come down to your frozen world. You will face my champion. If you survive for 10 minutes, the family remains under your protection and we will leave. If you die, they die. Do you agree? I agree. We arrive in 1 hour. Prepare yourself. The screen went dark. Marcus turned to find everyone staring at him. What the hell did you just do? Yates shouted. You just signed your own death warrant. Maybe, Marcus said calmly. But now they can't just take the family. They have to honor the trial. You can't beat a Drakari warrior. They're 3 times your size with claws and scales. You're going to die! Probably, but I'm going to try anyway. Marcus left the communications room and headed for the storage bay. When he entered, Sesrith was standing, her face full of anguish. "We heard," she said. "We have communications here." "Marcus, you cannot do this. Withdraw the challenge. Let them take us. No, you will die. I might survive. I've got a few advantages." "Advantages? What advantages could you possibly have?" Marcus smiled grimly. "I'm human. We're full of surprises." Korval stepped forward. "This is madness. No being your size could survive against a Drakari warrior." "Has a Drakari warrior ever fought a human before?" Marcus asked. They all paused. "No," Sesrith admitted. "Then they don't know what to expect. That's my advantage. Surprise." Rick and the rest of the crew arrived. They'd brought equipment from the construction site. Cables, tools, power cells, anything that might help. "What's the plan, boss?" Rick asked. "Survive for 10 minutes. That's not a plan, that's a prayer. I'll take both." Maria handed him something. It was his work exoframe, the powered suit they used for heavy lifting. "It's not combat armor, but it'll help." Marcus looked at his crew. These people were ready to help him, even though he was about to do something crazy. "Thank you," he said simply. The hour passed too quickly. Marcus suited up in his exoframe and thermal gear. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. The crew walked with him to the landing area outside the colony. The Drakari ship descended through the atmosphere. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, all sleek lines and obvious power. It landed with barely a sound, and a ramp extended from its side. Threnzak emerged first, followed by a dozen other Drakari. The last one off the ship was the biggest Drakari Marcus had ever seen. His scales were dark gray, almost black, and covered in scars. This was clearly the champion. "I am Krelix," the warrior announced. His voice rumbled like thunder. "I have fought in 100 battles. I have killed enemies of every species. Today I will kill a human. Or I'll survive for 10 minutes and you'll go home empty-handed," Marcus replied. Krelix laughed. "I like your spirit, tiny one. You will die bravely." Threnzak stepped between them. "The rules are simple. You fight until the human dies or 10 minutes pass. No weapons beyond what you carry. The human may use any equipment he brings. Krelix may use his natural abilities. Do you both understand?" Marcus nodded. Krelix grunted agreement. "Then begin." Krelix lunged forward immediately. His claws extended, reaching for Marcus with terrifying speed. Marcus threw himself sideways, rolling in the snow. The exoframe boosted his movement, making him faster than normal. Claws raked the air where he'd been standing. 9 minutes, 50 seconds, Rick called out. He was keeping time. Marcus scrambled to his feet. Krelix turned and charged again. Marcus ran. Not away, but at an angle, forcing Krelix to turn. The big Drakari was fast, but turning wasn't his strength. Marcus used that. He grabbed a cable from his belt and ran it between two ice formations, creating a trip line at ankle height. Krelix saw it and jumped, but the momentary delay gave Marcus space. 9 minutes, 20 seconds. Krelix was getting frustrated. He slashed at Marcus, who ducked under the blow and rolled again. The cold was making the Drakari slower. Not much, but enough that Marcus could see it. That was the key. Marcus wasn't trying to win. He was trying to survive. And survival was what humans did best. He led Krelix on a chase across the ice. Every time the warrior got close, Marcus dodged, ducked, or used his equipment to create distance. He used mining charges to create explosions that kicked up snow, blocking vision. He used cables to create obstacles. He used every trick he'd learned in years of construction work. 7 minutes. Krelix was breathing harder now. The cold was getting to him. Marcus was cold too, but his gear kept him functional, and humans were used to cold. Their bodies could handle it better than reptilian species. 6 minutes. Marcus was getting tired. The exoframe helped, but he was still basically running for his life. One mistake and those claws would end him. Krelix anticipated his next dodge and caught him with a backhand. Marcus flew through the air and crashed into a snowbank. Pain exploded through his ribs. 5 minutes. He rolled to his feet, gasping. Krelix was stalking toward him, confident now. Marcus backed up toward the cliff edge. He could see the drop-off behind him. 30 feet down to an ice shelf, Krelix charged. Marcus waited until the last second, then dove aside. But this time he grabbed onto Krelix's leg as he passed. The warrior's momentum carried them both over the edge. They fell. Marcus and Krelix hit the ice shelf hard. Snow exploded around them. Marcus felt the exoframe take most of the impact, but his ribs screamed in protest. He rolled away immediately, knowing Krelix would recover faster. The Drakari warrior was already getting up, but something was different. Krelix moved slower now, more careful. The fall had hurt him too. Above them, Marcus could hear his crew shouting. Rick's voice cut through. 4 minutes, 10 seconds. Marcus backed away across the ice shelf. It was a flat area about 50 feet wide, surrounded by cliffs on 3 sides. The only way out was climbing back up, or surviving long enough for it not to matter. Krelix shook his head and focused on Marcus. Clever, he admitted. Using my own charge against me. But the fall is not enough to save you. Wasn't trying to save myself, Marcus said, breathing hard. Just trying to last. You cannot run forever, human. Don't need forever. Just need 10 minutes. Krelix charged again, but more carefully this time. He was learning. Marcus dodged, but the ice shelf was smaller than the area above. Less room to maneuver. A claw caught his shoulder, tearing through the thermal suit. Blood sprayed onto the white snow. Marcus gritted his teeth and kept moving. The pain was intense, but pain was just information. It told him he was still alive. 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Marcus used another mining charge, but this time he placed it on the cliff wall. When it exploded, ice and rocks tumbled down between him and Krelix. Not enough to stop the warrior, but enough to slow him down. Krelix smashed through the debris. His breathing was labored now. The cold and the exertion were taking their toll. Marcus was tired too, but humans were built for endurance. Their bodies were designed for persistence hunting, for outlasting prey over long distances. Right now, Marcus was both hunter and hunted, and he was making Krelix work for every second. 3 minutes. The Drakari warrior tried a different approach. Instead of charging, he advanced slowly, cutting off Marcus's escape routes. He was thinking now, not just relying on strength and speed. Marcus respected that. It made things harder. He feinted left, then went right. Krelix anticipated it and caught him with a sweep of his tail. Marcus went down hard, sliding across the ice. Before he could get up, Krelix was on him. A massive clawed hand pressed down on his chest. The exoframe's motors whined as they tried to compensate, but Krelix was too strong. He leaned in close, his breath hot on Marcus's face. You have fought well, human, Krelix said. Better than any being your size should. But this ends now. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Rick's voice was desperate. Marcus looked into Krelix's golden eyes. Then he smiled. You're right. It does end now. He triggered the exoframe's emergency release. All the tension in the power-assisted limbs released at once directly into Krelix's body. It wasn't much force, but it was unexpected. The Drakari jerked back, surprised. Marcus rolled free and scrambled away. He was out of the exoframe now, just in his torn thermal suit. Slower, weaker, but lighter. More mobile. 2 minutes. Krelix roared in frustration. He charged again, and this time Marcus knew he couldn't dodge. So he didn't try. Instead, he ran toward Krelix. The warrior was confused for just a second. That second was enough. Marcus slid between Krelix's legs under the sweeping claws. As he passed, he grabbed the cable still attached to his belt and looped it around the Drakari's ankle. When Krelix turned to follow, the cable pulled taut. For the second time, the big warrior fell. But this time, Marcus was ready. He'd positioned them near an ice overhang. As Krelix fell, Marcus pulled a remaining mining charge from his belt and slapped it on the ice above the warrior. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Marcus ran. The charge exploded. Ice and snow cascaded down on Krelix, burying him in a sudden avalanche. Marcus collapsed against the cliff wall, gasping for breath. Blood dripped from his shoulder. His ribs felt like they were on fire. But he was still alive. 1 minute. The ice pile shifted. A clawed hand emerged, then another. Krelix was digging himself out. The warrior was tough, Marcus had to give him that. But tough wasn't always enough. 45 seconds. Krelix freed himself and stood. Ice caked his scales. He looked at Marcus across the ice shelf. The human was clearly injured, barely standing. But still standing. 30 seconds. Krelix started forward, then stopped. He looked up at the watching crowd above. At Threnzak. At Marcus. 20 seconds. You cannot win, Krelix said. But you will not lose either. This is not a battle anymore. This is survival. And you are very good at surviving. 15 seconds. Krelix sat down on the ice. I yield. Above them, the crowd went silent. Threnzak's voice carried down to them. Krelix, what are you doing? He has proven his point, Warclaw. The human has strength. Not in claws or teeth, but in will and cunning. He has earned the right to protect those under his care. 10 seconds. 9, 8. Marcus slid down the cliff wall to sit in the snow. He was shaking from adrenaline and cold and pain. But he'd done it. He'd survived. 3, 2, 1. Time! Rick's shout echoed across the ice. The crew erupted in cheers. Marcus closed his eyes and let himself breathe. A shadow fell over him. He opened his eyes to find Krellick standing there offering a clawed hand. Marcus took it and the Drakari warrior pulled him to his feet. "You fight with your mind as much as your body," Krellick said. "This is unexpected in one so small." "Humans are full of surprises," Marcus managed. They climbed back up to the main level together. Threnzak was waiting, his expression unreadable. The Warclaw looked at Marcus for a long moment. "You invoked an ancient law," Threnzak said finally. "You survived the trial. By our customs, the family is under your protection. We cannot take them." Marcus nodded, too tired to speak. "But I have questions," Threnzak continued. "May we speak privately?" "Sure, after someone patches me up." Maria rushed forward with a medical kit. She started working on his shoulder while Threnzak watched. The Warclaw seemed fascinated by the whole process. An hour later, Marcus sat in the colony's small meeting room. His shoulder was bandaged, his ribs wrapped, and he'd been given enough painkillers to function. Threnzak sat across from him. Krellick stood by the door. "I have a question," Threnzak said.
Why? Why what?
"Why risk your life for them? Sesrith and her family are traitors to our empire. They refuse their duty. By all Drakari standards, they deserve death. Why would you, a human who has no connection to them, stand against us?" Marcus thought about it. "Because it was the right thing to do." "That is not an answer. It's the only answer I have. They needed help. I could help. So I did." Threnzak leaned back. "Humans are strange. In our empire, strength is everything. The strong rule. The weak serve or die. This is the natural order." "That sounds exhausting," Marcus said. Threnzak blinked. "Exhausting?" "Yeah, always fighting, always proving yourself, never able to just be. Never able to show weakness or ask for help. That's not strength. That's fear." "You dare—" "I just survived 10 minutes against your best warrior." Marcus interrupted. "I think I've earned the right to speak my mind. And my mind says your system is broken." Silence. Then surprisingly, Threnzak laughed. "Perhaps you are right. Perhaps it is broken." He stood. "I came here expecting to find weak traitors and punish them. Instead, I found something interesting." "What's that?" "A question. You live on this frozen death world. You thrive where Drakari would die. Your species has been in the stars for barely 2 centuries, yet you spread like wildfire. A single Foreman defeated my champion through cleverness and will." He paused. "What will your species become, human Marcus Chen? What will you be in 100 years? 1,000? "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "We're still figuring it out." "Yes, and that is what makes you dangerous. And interesting." Threnzak moved to the door. "I will report that Sesarith's family died in their crash. The Empire will not look for them further. They are yours now, under your protection. Thank you. Do not thank me. I am doing this because I see an opportunity. Your species and mine, we should know each other better. This frozen world, this family, this could be a beginning." "A beginning of what?" Threnzak smiled, showing many teeth. "That human is what we will discover together." 5 years later, Marcus stood in the observation deck of Vorketh Station and watched ships come and go. The frozen colony had changed. Where there had once been a small mining outpost, there was now a thriving station. Humans and Drakari worked side by side in the corridors. It still felt strange sometimes, but it also felt right. His shoulder twinged where Krellick had caught him all those years ago. It ached when the weather got bad, which on Vorketh 9 meant always. Marcus didn't mind. It was a reminder of the day everything changed. "Admiral Chen, we have an incoming transmission," a voice said over his communicator. "Admiral." That still felt weird. Marcus had been a construction foreman. Now he commanded the Vorketh 9 Defense Initiative. Life had a funny way of working out. "Put it through," he said. The screen flickered to show Warclaw Sesarith. She looked older now. A few more scars on her scales, but her eyes were sharp and warm. "Marcus," she said, "the fleet is ready. We can depart within the hour." "Good, I'll meet you at the command ship. How is your family?" Marcus smiled. "Emma is doing great. She's asking when Auntie Sess will visit again." Sesrith's expression softened. Marcus's daughter had been born 3 years ago. She was growing up on a station where Drakari weren't monsters from stories but friends and colleagues. She called Sesarith Auntie and rode on Corval's shoulders when he visited. It was a different world than the one Marcus had grown up in. Soon, Sesarith promised. After this mission, tell her I am bringing gifts. You spoil her. She is family. It is my right to spoil her. Marcus laughed. See you at the ship. He headed to the docking bay. Along the way, he passed dozens of workers. Some human, some Drakari, some other species who had heard about Vorketh 9 and wanted to be part of something new. The station had become known across the sector as a place where differences didn't matter. Where what you could do was more important than what you looked like. Rick was waiting at the bay. He'd been promoted to station operations chief. His hair was grayer now, but his spirit was the same. Ready for this, boss? Rick asked. Ready as I'll ever be. How's the crew? Excited, nervous, the usual before a big operation. But they trust you. Both fleets trust you, Marcus nodded. The mission was risky. A hostile alien force called the Kreth had been raiding colonies in the sector for months. They were aggressive, well-armed, and they didn't negotiate. Someone had to stop them. The Vorketh 9 Defense Initiative, a combined human Drakari force, had volunteered. It would be the first major combat operation for the Alliance. The galaxy was watching. The command ship was impressive. It was a hybrid design, combining human adaptability with Drakari firepower. Half the crew was human, half Drakari. They worked together like they'd been doing it for decades, not years. Marcus took his place on the bridge. Sesarith stood beside him. She'd been promoted to Warclaw of the Initiative, second in command of the entire operation. It had caused controversy in the Drakari Empire. A traitor leading warriors, but Threnzak had supported the appointment, and his word carried weight. All ships report ready, the communications officer announced. Marcus looked at Sesarith. Ready? I am ready, Admiral. Then let's go protect some people. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. 12 ships in total. 6 human design, 6 Drakari design, all crewed by both species. It was a statement as much as a fighting force. They arrived at the Kreth's last known location within hours. The raiders had hit a colony on Tarsus 4, a peaceful world of farmers and miners, mostly families, no military presence. Easy targets, the Kreth fleet was still there, orbiting the planet. 15 ships. They outnumbered the Initiative. They're hailing us, the communications officer said. Put them on screen. The Kreth commander appeared. They were insectoid beings, all chittering mandibles and compound eyes. The commander's translator made their speech understandable, but barely. You are trespassing in Kreth space, the commander said. Leave or be destroyed. This isn't Kreth space, Marcus replied calmly. Your raiders attacking civilians. We're here to stop you. You dare? We will crush you. Humans are weak. Drakari fight among themselves. You cannot stand together. Want to bet? Marcus asked. The Kreth cut the transmission. Their ships moved into attack formation. Here we go, Rick muttered from his station. The battle was intense. The Kreth were good fighters, but they fought as individuals. Each ship tried to prove itself, competing with allies for glory. It made them fierce but disorganized. The Initiative fought differently. Human ships were fast and creative, darting in with unexpected maneuvers. Drakari ships were powerful, pressing attacks with devastating force. Together they covered each other's weaknesses and amplified each other's strengths. Marcus watched it happen from the bridge. A human destroyer drew fire while a Drakari cruiser lined up a shot. A Drakari fighter protected a damaged human ship while it retreated to safety. They fought like a single organism with many parts. Target their command ship, Marcus ordered. Sesarith, take your wing around their flank. We'll punch through the center. Understood, Sesarith replied. Her voice was steady over the fleet channel. The plan worked. With the Kreth focused on Marcus's frontal assault, Sesarith's wing hit them from the side. The Kreth command ship tried to turn, but it was too late. Drakari firepower and human precision overwhelmed their shields. They're breaking formation, the tactical officer announced. The Kreth fleet scattered. Without coordination, they were just individual ships. The Initiative picked them apart one by one. Within an hour, the battle was over. The surviving Kreth ships jumped away in retreat. Marcus slumped in his chair. They'd won. The colony below was safe. Damage report, he requested. Minor hits across the fleet. 2 ships need repairs, but nothing critical. No casualties. Marcus closed his eyes in relief. No one had died. That was victory enough. Sir, we're getting transmissions from the colony. They want to thank us. Tell them they're welcome, and tell them they're safe now. The fleet returned to Vorketh 9 as heroes. News of the battle spread across the sector. The initiative had proven itself. Humans and Drakari could fight together. More than that, they could win together. In the weeks that followed, other species began to take notice. Ambassadors visited the station. Trade agreements were proposed. The galaxy was changing, and Vorketh 9 was at the center of it. Marcus found himself in meetings more than in engineering bays now. It wasn't what he'd planned, but it was important work. Building bridges between species was just as vital as building structures. One evening, he returned to his quarters to find Cesarith waiting with her family. Corval was there, looking distinguished with gray scaling around his eyes. The three younglings were there too, though they weren't so young anymore. Vixtra had grown into a brilliant engineer. She worked in the station's design division, creating new hybrid technologies. Corin was a pilot in the defense fleet. Thelis had become a teacher, helping young Drakari and humans learn each other's languages and cultures. "We wanted to talk with you," Cesarith said. "As a family, of course." "What's on your mind?" Cesarith glanced at her mate and children. "We have been thinking about that night. The night we came to your colony, freezing and desperate. The night I begged you for help. I remember it well. We have been thinking about what has come from that night, this station. The alliance, the friendships between our peoples. All of it started because one human chose to help strangers." "I just did what was right," Marcus said. "No," Corval interrupted gently. "You did what most beings would not. You risked everything for people you did not know, for species you had been taught to fear. That is not just doing right. That is being exceptional." Vixtra stepped forward. "You saved us that night. But you did more than that. You showed us what was possible. You showed the galaxy what was possible." Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion. "You all did the work. You built this alliance as much as I did." "We built it together," Cesarith said. "That is the point. Humans and Drakari working together. We are stronger for it." She paused. "I wanted to tell you something. That night when I begged for help, I was ashamed. In Drakari culture, begging is the deepest shame. I thought I had lost all honor. You were trying to save your family. That's the highest honor there is. I know that now. You taught me that. Humans see things differently. You see strength in compassion. You see honor in helping others. These are lessons my species needed to learn." Thelis spoke up. "In our schools now, young Drakari learn about Vorketh 9. They learn about the night a family begged a human for help. It is taught as a turning point, the moment when Drakari began to change." Marcus looked around at the family. At Cesarith, who had become one of his closest friends and most trusted allies. At Corval, whose wisdom helped guide the station's policies. At the three younglings now grown who were building the future. "Do you know what I tell my daughter about that night?" Marcus asked. "I tell her about a brave mother who did whatever it took to save her children. I tell her about a family who chose peace over war, even when it cost them everything. I tell her that courage comes in many forms." Emma burst into the room at that moment, escaping from her mother. She ran straight to Cesarith, who scooped her up gently in her claws. "Auntie Cess." "You're back." "Yes, little one. And I have brought you a gift," Emma squealed with delight.